So in this one, we're going to finalize the size of the entrance stone here and add some tiles right the way around the house here. So let's get started. So the first thing I want to do really is just come over to the modifiers tab, and I'm going to click the eye icon here and just hide that particle effect because we don't want it to slow down the computer. And you want to keep that in mind. Adding particle systems, they will increase the demand on your system or your computer depending on your system you're running. Okay, so switching them off until you need them is always a good idea. So I'm going to press 0 and come out of camera view. And if I come in here to this block, I'm going to select it. I'm going to click in here and change this to 5 cm. Press enter. Okay, and if I zoom in, I'm going to press G, Z and snap it up to the top edge of the internal floor here. The next thing I want to do is select this object that has the particle system on it. So if I press Z, bring up wireframe, I can select it there. So I'm going to press G, Z and just snap it up to the bottom of that slab there. And if I zoom out a little bit, I'm going to select this object, which was originally the plane, and I'm going to bring this up as well. So I'm going to press G, Z and snap that up to the base there. So if I press 1 now, okay, we can see that it's up to this height here. So I'm going to press Z, come back to solid, come back around here. It's going to move the door up, so select the door, press G, Z and snap that up there. So now we have this plane and this object here is sitting on it, okay? And that's up to the level of the floor. That's all we have to be concerned with there. The next thing I want to do is to switch back on the ground mesh and the backup and just zoom out. I'm going to press 1 actually, press Z, bring up wireframe. I'm going to select both these objects so you can see them. One is orange and the other is yellow. And if I zoom in to the house again, I just want to move this back up 0.27. So I'm going to press G, Z and type in 0.27, press enter. And you can see that comes back up to the base of the wall. Okay, I can zoom out, and actually what I'm going to do is just switch off the backup and the ground mesh. I can select one of these objects, press Z, solid and just come around here. Okay, and what I want to do now is just add material to this object. First I'm going to unwrap it, so I'm going to tab into edit mode. I'm actually going to press the / key to isolate this, press Control tab. I'm going to select this face and this one and press X and choose faces. Okay, we don't actually need those spaces, so Control tab, choose edge. I'm going to select these two edges here, press Control E and mark scene. So if I press A once or twice and press U, I can just unwrap this. And if I drag up this here, I can switch it to a UV image editor. And that looks like a good unwrap. So the next thing to do really is get a material for this. So for this, I'm going to use a granite material. Like all materials, I'm going to generate a normal map, a roughness map, and a specular map using the same process. Okay, so that's the material I'm going to use for this. And if I press the / key, I can come back here to solid. I can tab back to object mode. I'm going to come over to material tab and click new and just rename this to entrance slab. Press enter. And actually one thing before I do add material, I'm just going to tab into edit mode and select the top 4 edges. Press Control B and type in 0.01 just to give that a bevel right the way around there. So now if I come back to object mode, I'm going to switch this now to a node editor, and I can delete the diffuse, Shift A. I can add a PBR shader, plug that in there, and Control Shift T. And if I come and get my granite texture, I'm just going to add those in there. Okay, so I'm just going to drag that down out of the way. I can make adjustments to that if I need to. So I want to make a copy of this, so Shift D, just going to press Y and drag this forward. And if I come over to the dimensions, I'm going to resize this to 600 millimeters by 600 millimeters, and I'm going to leave it at 50 mil. So if I press GY, I can snap that in here. I want to create a small gap, so I'm going to press G, Y and -0.02. Okay, and if I come over to the modifiers tab, I'm going to add an array modifier to this. Maybe 3 will work. I can press 7 and just drag this over. I'm actually going to increase the offset here to 1.02 just to keep that matching. I'm going to add another modifier, another array modifier, but for the X this time it's going to be 0. For the Y it's going to be 1.02, and actually I need to make this a negative number, so negative 1.02, and I'm just going to increase this, and you can see then we get close to the end of this. So I'm just going to increase this a little bit more, zoom in here, I'm going to press Z, wireframe, I'm going to press Shift D and press X, just drag this over, I can press GY and just snap that up to the corner of this object here. I'll just drag this over here somewhere like this, and I'm going to increase the X count, so I'm going to leave a gap here, but I might just increase this right the way over, and that works out pretty good actually. Okay, so I'm going to come back to solid and just come around here. I'm going to add grass along here, so what I might do is continue these tiles around this side of the house and around the back. Okay, and I'll do that off camera, there's no point in going through all that. Okay, but for the moment that's going to do it for this one.